of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Donna, can you do roll, please?
Supervisor Flaherty.
Here.
Councilwoman Talby.
Present.
Councilman Cahill.
Here.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Here.
Councilwoman Wright.
Here.
Town Attorney Genesi.
Present. Okay. The first order of business tonight is our open to the floor, where each speaker will be allowed up to 5 minutes at the podium to talk about anything they would like to. It looks like we have 3 people who signed in to speak tonight. Peter Elder, you are up first.
Thank you very much. Hope you had a great New Year. And I'm up here tonight, Peter Elder, 59 Dunning Avenue, sorry. I'm up here tonight because it's one of those rare instances where I can do 2 of my big passions and have them collide at the same time. That is a passion for history and a passion for politics. So I want to congratulate this board because you have done something historic tonight. I'm not sure if you realize it. If you look around, you will see that there are 3 women on this board. And that is an historic moment for the town of Webster. 180 years that has not happened. I am very proud that we have a town that can embrace that. I'm very proud to be the leader of the Republican Party who's put candidates up that are extremely qualified and that can rightly be proud of the fact that we've done that. So, and I think it is a wondrous thing that we've been able to make this happen for our town of Webster tonight. So I did not want to let the moment go without recognizing it because it is indeed an historic occasion and it also is a proud moment for the Republican Party. So I don't have to go much further than that, but one more thing I didn't want to forget is also our town justice, who also is the first time we've ever had a woman as a town justice in the town of Webster as well. And I'm proud of, again, the Republican Party nominating well-qualified candidates for the offices. So I did want to recognize all these things and congratulate all of you, and again, Happy New Year.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
Okay. Next up is Chris Smith.
Good evening. Full disclosure, I am a past chief of the Northeast Joint Fire District, and I'm a past board member of NEQ ALS. And I'm not going to speak to any of those agencies. What I say tonight does not reflect on either one of them. I've had a lot of conversations. Tom was gracious enough to coach my daughter's team for at least a couple of years. I've talked to Patty, I've been in this EMS emergency services. I always hated when you went to college and the professor would tell you all their, what degrees they had and everything else. But I wanted to say I've been in emergency services for 30 years. Like I said, been on the board at NEQ, chief at Webster. I've been around. And again, I know this probably won't go anywhere, but I'm going to give it a shot. The sign behind Tom says where life is worth living. And I really think, I'm not going to mention any agency. Dan will probably kill me because I was sitting next to him before. I honestly think the best thing for the town, for EMS, I'm not going to talk Moms, I'm not going to talk Penfield, no names. I think the best thing is for the town to put an ambulance together, just like the police department. I know there's a lot of liability and people don't like that, and there's a lot of lawyers. I had a father-in-law that was one, but anyway, I think us as a town having control of one of the most valuable services, and I apologize to anybody from the fire departments that are watching this, the police department and the ambulance are the most vital services that we have. Offering out, who picks up leaves, who cuts down trees. I think having the town control instead of having a third party, regardless of who it is, I think that's something that makes this where life is worth living. Having more control over it. And hiring who we want, who you guys want. I know there's a village in the county that runs their own ambulance. It's Honey Eye Falls, and they're able to enroll their people into the state retirement program. And they have the best EMTs and the best paramedics in the county because nobody wants to leave that job. And I know it's a risk. I understand the liability. I don't sit where you guys sit. I understand. Just from where I'm sitting, that would be the best. My opinion only, not the Northeast Joint Fire District, not LEMS, nobody else. From my opinion only, having Webster run their own EMS agency and support it would be make it where life is worth living. I'm all set. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. And I will just say when Chris started out by saying, I think he said something like, I know this will not go anyplace, something like that. I do want to reference it back in May when the town board did a presentation on the short-term options that we had seen available at that time and long-term options for EMS in Webster. One of the long-term options in that presentation was exactly what you said, Chris. So I can assure you this, it has not been eliminated from consideration at this point. Okay. So next up, and our last person to sign in, he's good at this, by the way. He does figure out how to always be last. Is the previous supervisor, Ron Nesbitt. I'm still waiting for it. Maybe it'll happen this year. You bring your own mic and you mic drop when you leave the podium, Ron.
I'm going to surprise you.
Okay.
I'm going to pass because I do not know what your presentation is going to be.
Well, Ron, you know that nobody can hear you and see. You gotta go up there.
On the agenda this evening is a presentation at the end about EMS. And I came tonight to talk about that, but I don't know what the presentation is. So I'm going to make it short and sweet for you. You won't have to tell me that I'm going to leave. I'm going to go back and sit down and wait for your presentation and maybe come back in 2 weeks and talk about it. Thank you.
That is a mic drop. Wow. You know, Ryan, it's a fair question. I usually don't answer questions from the public part of the board meeting, but this one's interesting because I call it the 800-pound gorilla in the room. EMS is a pretty pertinent subject in Webster today, and it has been for quite some time. Okay,
2 years.
I want to tell you that on Tuesday the 26th, the day after Christmas, on short notice, 15 people from state EMS, Monroe County EMS, town officials, just a really interesting group of talented people that know EMS and finance, came to town hall and got onto a 2-hour meeting at Christmas time, because I had invited them saying, we really need to make sure we understand what we're going to do here with EMS in Webster, and I don't want to be in a reactive position. We tried to navigate this whole process to not be in a reactive position. And it was a very good meeting. And at that meeting, one of the action plans was that we'd send to the Webster Herald the agenda for January 4th. We always put the agenda for a board meeting in the Wednesday previous is Webster Herald, so that was Wednesday the 27th. We said we should put something on there that's an update status of where EMS is in Webster. And we all looked at each other and said, I don't have the slightest idea what we would present in 9 days, because it's such a fluid situation that I don't know what the next 9 days will bring in this situation. So how do we word it? And I hope I don't mispronounce his name, Dennis Meets, who is the chief of Mites. He's the chief of Brighton and was on the committee, the dream team that I've referenced, that was trying to assist the town and council, whatever. the simplicity and the brilliance, he said, well, just put in what the agenda said. And Ron, it didn't give details. Because at that point, I was like, I don't know what details we'll say. Because I didn't know what the next 9 days would bring. And somewhat prophetic in that, the 15 of us in the room that day, is I had no idea that 3 days later that Nequals would hold a press conference and would do that. So that kind of helped us this week put a little bit more clarity on what we should update at the presentation tonight. That'll happen in about 5 minutes, okay? And I will tell you this, I thought, and if this is oversharing and this is TMI, I'd rather err on that side than be someone that is thought of as not telling everything that they should tell. I wanted Monroe County Department of Health, EMS, do the presentation tonight, 5 minutes or less, on how mutual aid works and what has happened the last 5 days as far as ambulance calls to 911 in Webster, and how many have been covered by WEMS and Equals. Because there's a very big concern in town. My office has been barraged in the last 5 days, as you would imagine, with calls from concerned citizens who are like, what's going to happen now after that announcement on Friday if I call 911 for an ambulance? It's a valid question. Now, we've been able to assuage people's concerns by answering it honestly, and that answer is what you're going to hear tonight. And I think that presentation would have been better served by the Monroe County Department of Health in the EMS division, because they are impartial. They oversee 17 EMS agencies. Just the facts, ma'am, is what Joe from Dragnet used to say. For reasons I won't get into, the Monroe County Department of Health EMS is not here tonight. Dan Reardon and Glenn Becker from Penfield Volunteer Ambulance will be giving that 5-minute presentation. So I took your 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes or less, because as you see from this agenda, there ain't anything here. So Dan and Glenn, I told you you'd be on by about 7:45. Let's see if we can get you on by 7:45. So, the next order of business. Dolly, as usual, you're right up to date. I looked at the December 21st board meeting minutes. I make a motion that we approve them.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye?
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
I abstain, I was not here.
Yes, that's true. And then Patty, I know that you did the bills, right?
I did. I reviewed the bills yesterday and everything was in order, so I would make a motion that we pay them.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. I reviewed the purchase orders as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance, and make a motion to approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye?
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Paul or Dolly, are you best to explain this next one? Did I do? Oh,
Didn't I do the purchase order?
I did purchase
Oh,
orders.
you did not.
Did you?
Which one? Did I do purchase orders and not prepaid warrants?
I believe so.
Yes.
Well, I make a motion to approve the prepaid warrants as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance.
Second.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye?
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
And now, the last resolution of the night at 7:44 p.m. Paul or Dolly better to explain the genesis of this?
Well, each year, the manufactured home park permit has to be submitted by the Sunset Valley Manufactured Home Community at 898 Ridge Road. It is inspected by the fire marshal. He found that everything was in order and we received his approval.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank you, Dolly.
Pardon?
No.
I can go, you go back in the records, this is the fifth board meeting, first board meeting of the year for me as supervisor. This is on the first board meeting of every year.
Yes, that's
Yep.
correct.
So I make a motion to approve the renewal of the mobile home park permit for the Sunset Valley Manufactured Home Community for calendar year 2024.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
7:45. The only other thing on the agenda tonight is an update on EMS status in the town of Webster. And if Dan Reardon and/or Glenn Becker from Penfield Volunteer Ambulance could take the podium to give that update.
So this will be brief. Tom, you've already covered a third of what I was going to say as preamble into this before leading to Dan. I am Glenn Becker. I'm the current president of the Penfield Volunteer Emergency Ambulance. We were asked here tonight, since we are the agency closest to the borders of Webster, that would be coming in most often to provide mutual aid. We were asked to come in here and explain that. We also have the New York State Department of Health Certificate of Need for the entire West Webster Fire Department area, the fire district. Our main base is just a couple miles south of NEQ's facility, and since 2021, when the West Webster Fire District contracted with us to provide services, we've been staffing an ambulance 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, from the West Webster Fire Hall on Gravel Road to support Northwest Penfield and respond primarily out of Jackson Road to the rest of Penfield. I want to thank you for this opportunity to provide some clarity on how EMS mutual aid works. Dan Reardon, our EMS manager, is going to speak briefly about how EMS works and some specifics about what additional resources we can bring to bear during this period of uncertainty. Aside from being good neighbors, both Dan and I have previously lived and worked in Webster. 4 of our board members, 3 of them that are here tonight, live in Webster, and more than 20 of our current staff also live and work in Webster. So we have some valid connections here and some personal care about the people here. Our concerns, first and foremost, are to assist the residents in Webster and Penfield with an excellent EMS ambulance coverage at this time. We are also concerned with first responders, EMTs, and paramedics who've been providing support to the Webster community over all these years. So I'll let Dan to go into some specifics.
Monroe County uses one countywide dispatch system for police, fire, and ambulances. They have a series of standards of questions they ask to determine the type and severity of the incident to respond to when somebody calls 911. Based upon that information, they send the closest available local resource for the address to the scene. That can include a combination of police, fire, and ambulance resources. If the primary agency is unable to respond, and right now in Webster it'll be NEQ, the 911 center has GPS data on the location of each vehicle and immediately dispatches the next closest appropriate resource. For the town of Webster, ambulance calls, that resource is most likely Penfield or Rhinelacoit or Ontario Ambulance. Just last year, Penfield was dispatched over 600 calls in Webster in 2023. Since NEQ's announcement last Friday, we have been in close contact with the Director of Ops from Ontario Ambulance and Rhinelacoit Ambulance. Every 12 hours, my ops team and I are checking the status of NEQ staff and fly cars and VLS ambulances via the Monroe County 911 MDT and NetViewer system. From Friday at 1500 to today at 3 p.m., there have been 63 EMS calls in Webster, not counting mutual aid that they may go outside of Webster, and they've covered 55 of them. The additional calls have not been a burden on our staff. Credit has to be given to the dedicated EMTs and paramedics at NEQ that are still going on calls. We are closely monitoring the situation, though, the amount of mutual aid calls on our own crews to avoid burnout of our own staff and to maintain the high morale. We have been in contact with the leadership at the West Webster Fire Department, and we are prepared to ramp up staffing if necessary to expand our operation at West Webster to 24/7, which for the last 2 years has just been one ambulance, ALS, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We do have the equipment and staff to expand our staffing at Jackson Road if the situation was to deteriorate further. As we have described, the County of Monroe has a robust mutual aid plan in place for neighboring agencies to support one another, and we and the other county agencies are here to help and support you. If you have any questions on that matter, you're welcome to call me at 585-872-6060, extension 7, and I can explain more things in detail if somebody does need that. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Well, that is the conclusion of the meeting. We'll do our round table. Jen's first round table. Put you on the spot right away. So Paul,
Yes, John.
what's new?
Everything's good. Just since 2023 just ended, starting to take a look at some of the final numbers. I will say it was a great year for interest earnings, with rates around 5.3% for most of the year. So we've done outstanding in that category. But we'll continue to fine tune, get ready for the auditors. I'll be in a few weeks.
Great. Jen.
Can't say I have anything to add. I've just, I've spent some time over the last couple of weeks, excuse me, with Supervisor Flaherty. Excuse me, getting over the flu. Not contagious. And Councilwoman Wynn and some others in the town staff, just learning about the town and learning about the comings and going, and I'm just really excited to join the team and help make a difference in Webster.
Okay.
I don't really have anything to add. I just want to wish everyone a happy new year. One that's filled with health, happiness, and many blessings for all. I'm looking forward to getting off on the right foot on another year. We've got a lot of things going on in town. I've already had several meetings about some big projects, and I look forward to continuing to work on those.
What she said.
Yeah. Ginny.
Okay, thank you everyone to be here today, and also too, it's a new year. I wish everybody health, happiness, and prosperity. And also coming to the new year, please support our community and watch your email and watch to see what's going on around our community and come out and support the museum and the library. And also to I would like to congratulations to Jennifer Wright, Councilman Wright, and Councilman Cahill, and Judge Christine Stepler for a wonderful victory. Oh, and I'm sorry, the supervisor as well. Well, thank you, everyone.
All right.
Just want to welcome Jennifer Wright to the team. It's been exciting. It was a pleasure running with you. You worked very, very hard, and what an addition to this board. I'm looking forward to working with you going forward. Congratulations to you, Tom, and Christine Suppler.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to working with everybody as well.
Karnak, remember? Jen, I can tell you what Dolly's going to say, but let's see if I'm right.
So, town tax bills were sent out last week, so if you haven't received your bill yet, please contact the town clerk's office, and we will send you another copy or email you a copy, whichever you prefer.
Okay, well that concludes tonight's meeting. The meeting is adjourned.